Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you getting on? Welcome back to Jamaica Plain. So we've got a couple of bits and pieces today. First off, we're going to turn this house into a couple of apartments, separate it out down there. And then we're going to have a look at adding a little bit more atmosphere and filling out the market area. So, focus on this bit is to close off this end of the building, keep the staircase in a separate part, so we've got access to the upstairs for the apartment up there. So initially I tried to do this with a few more generic pieces, but the results were the bad kind of scrappy, shall we say. So I'm using a few half walls, a few vanilla pieces, a few pieces from USO, and a couple of bits and pieces from Toys Out of the Pram's Pillars and Supports mod as well. We're going to mix and match them and just group select them together to make a dividing wall here. We'll use the ashtray just so we get a nice level basis for this, level with the floor. And this one's very handy, it just drops straight in, no problem. And then we'll use a few plywood boards and some shack railings actually to plug the gap up the top. Now the hard part with this is making sure you've got the right height, because obviously once it hits the ceiling we have the collision issue, but we want it as close as we can get so it's not a huge gap up there. It's not quite there. We'll get it right and then we'll stand on the stairs and have a look from there. Still not quite. So, as you may have noticed, the upload schedule's been a little erratic lately. It's partly because my shift pattern at work has been a bit all over the place. I've basically had no idea what I'm doing one week to the next pretty much at the moment. Chops and changes, which is kind of frustrating. Seems to be leaving me quite tired as well, so by the time I get in I don't really want to kind of engage in several hours of editing or whatever I might be doing. Which is unfortunate because it's yeah, slowing me down in a way I'm not really happy with. Hopefully going to be working on that soon. But it is what it is, so I apologise for that. So it might take a few weeks at least before I can get that sorted out, so notifications are probably the best way to keep up with where I'm at. Plans to get a stream out tomorrow and possibly Friday as well, so that'd be cool. Play a bit more Tomb Raider. I'm getting on well with that. However, back on the building, should close off the stairs to complete the sort of separated and enclosed look for this bit. So we don't want the two apartments to have too much access to each other. A bit of privacy. So boards, the half wall there, and then just one of these plywood boards. Just group select them up against the wall. There we go, nailed in place. And the last thing we're going to build in here, just going to put a railing up along the top of the stairs here, so nobody's plummeting down the staircase. And USO's actually got an entire sub-menu with tons of these in it, well worth a look. I think it's actually under the fences. The fences tab, rather. So that's quite handy. And then all that really needs to be done in there is decoration. So, outside, so we want to create a little bit of atmosphere. It's not really a build per se, sort of more fleshing out what we've got and the space between the builds, I suppose. So, it's a little bit high up this roof, unfortunately, but the doorway kind of dictates that with the ground floor of the house there being a bit raised up. But the end result's quite good. It keeps it feeling sort of enclosed and like a market or kind of bazaar feel to it. Also has that enclosed alleyway feel, which is what I wanted to go for. So 2 pillar group select to get that first one up there. This one's still not going to snap in, so same thing again. I think it's that wooden post at the edge of the building there that's getting in the way actually. And this one on the other hand does snap in just fine. We've got a bit of a floating issue there that we'll attend to in a moment. There we go. Feeling a bit more enclosed now. So we've got a range of posts, funnily enough, in the Posts and Pillars mod. And this one's a little thinner than I would have liked. I'd like something that looks a little more sturdy, but the options for that are either far too tall or far too short, so got to make do with what you've got. Fortunately, they're relatively easy to get into place, quite soft on the ends, so change where you're looking a little bit to move them and adjust them, but it works quite well. Don't need to do any fancy glitching or anything. Tweak it a little bit, there we go. I would prefer to have it in the corner, but I don't want it sticking out in front of the doorway though. So we'll hop up on the top, and I'm just going to put a box under the corner here to provide a little bit of support here. Obviously it's hopping up, so rug glitch it will be. To be fair, I didn't really need to use the invisible one here, could use any of them with it being up on the roof, but habits and all that. There we go, slide that straight under. There's actually a tiny little gap there, but you can't really see it, especially not from the ground, so job's a good one. So back around the other side, we're snapping this onto the clinic, going down beside the robot shop here, the first one we did out here. So it just snaps on nice and easily, snap that on the end, great. Now we just need a little support. So we've gone to some slightly thicker pillars here, because the ones we were using are now too tall. And a little bit of an issue getting these into place, so I'll have to use a rug glitch. Just get that positioned in the corner. It's actually the wrong corner. We'll swap them over in a moment. There we go. And just nudge it as close as we can to the edge of the build area there. Not quite perfect, but it does the job. Kind of Fallout building in a nutshell, really, that. There we go. Pull that back a little bit, and there we go. Come on. There we go. That's more like it. So on the left there, I'm actually going to put a wall just to enclose it off a little bit more. I just used, what did I use? Junk fences, that's the one. And a half wall. Just because it was the easiest way of doing it. I did try with a few other options, but dead simple bit of rug and pillar to get that one in. However, with this roof, we've got this central area that hasn't got enough really covering it, so I'm just going to group select an extra section on there. Because unfortunately the buildings are stopping it going through the middle, so it won't snap half and half. So there we go, we'll put the pillars in to support that bit as well. But as it's the same process, we'll do it off camera. So at this end, as you can see, I wanted a couple of guard posts, just sort of, not really wall it off per se, just to sort of add a little bit of security, because obviously there are raider camps and stuff not far away, and the gunners aren't far away either. So this particular single structure is from Aslam's Workshop Junk Wall Pack, and it's just a solid finished structure, which is quite good. It sits a little bit low, so it can be a bit awkward sometimes, but it's quite a cool design, and I like using it from time to time. So unfortunately, with the curb there, it's actually floating a little bit. It does clip quite a long way through the ground, that one. So we'll just rug and pillar and get this extra set of sandbags in there. There we go, that plugs the gap quite nicely. The rug's actually, I think, just about going round the guard post there. Leaning a little bit outside the build area, but it works, that's the main thing. There we go, take a look at that, that's good. So for this side, I want something similar, which I could have just done the same thing, but it needs to cover more of the end of the building to give it a more complete look. The piece we've just used is good, but it's a bit small for what I want here. However, as we're so close to the edge of the build area, and all this rubble and stuff on the floor makes it kind of awkward at times to sink the pillar in. That's the phrase I'm looking for. So, we're going to have to use a little bit of place anywhere, unfortunately. I say unfortunately. I do use it on occasion. So it's a bit of a mixture of the two techniques, group selecting and place anywhere, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. And one of the other problems we're having, of course, is that we're being right up against the building on the right here. The staircase and the repaired wall will be an issue if you're trying to group select sometimes. Now we're going to just put a couple of sides on this, get a bit of support to the thing. It also gives us a guideline for putting the front on it, which we definitely need when we're so close to the edge of the build area. So, using Quapper, which is the place anywhere and make static tools combined, just place the pillar post there next to it, select the post once it's attached, and then we just have to move sort of forward through where the post is to make it disappear, like that. And then you can place anywhere. Thing to note, or a couple of things to note if you're using this particular mod, keep an eye on where it says place on the tooltip at the bottom. Because if that goes grey, obviously you won't be able to place it, which does still happen. In this case it's particularly because it's so close to the edge of the build area. That post, although it's invisible, is sort of both there and not at the same time. Strange as that sounds. So there you go, you can see it's greyed out there. So you have to sort of accommodate that when you're putting stuff in place. At least as far as the edge of the build area, rather. Get a sentence together. So, with the full line in place. I was hoping it would be a little further forward and I could get away with it, but unfortunately not. Still, the result's good, so that's the main thing. Need a little bit more support on this end, and we'll need a bit in the middle as well in a moment. So, this group selects in okay. This one wouldn't group select in the middle, so back to place anywhere. We'll just get that lined up with the join there. And there we go. Nice simple little build. It'd be a lot easier if I wasn't so close to the edge and in such a confined space, but I'm going to put a couple of boards behind here when I select the right thing, just to kind of give it a little more of a solid feel, and also get it a little more in keeping with the guard post that Aslam designed on the other side. So I want it to look obviously like it's been built by the same people. So a similar design style is required. So we'll get that adjusted. You could see the pillar reappeared there, the post rather. The reason for that is that I tried to use left bumper, L1 and X to move the thing up and down. Unfortunately that's not an option when using this particular mod. If you want to reposition something you have to move where the character's standing and looking using the analog sticks. Doing it the other way is sort of the more precise way, is unfortunately doesn't work for this. So it's in place. We've got a little bit too much clipping there, just in the centre, so I'll nudge it back a little bit. There we go. So one of the things I did think while I was doing that, one of the other reasons I don't use, or another reason not to use place anywhere too much, is that it's just the one technique basically. So at least using the glitches and stuff, you're mixing things up a little bit and doing a few different things. It's slightly more interesting to both do and watch, I think. It's a new addition to my list of reasons for not using it too much. So here, as you see, the floor's getting in the way with the overhang there, so I'm going to use the second board as basically a rug for glitching that into place. Put a couple more down. I'm just doing this because it just feels a little too open and light and airy. It doesn't feel very secure, essentially. So it kind of matches up a little better when you've enclosed it a bit more with the boards on the top to the guard posts on the left there. On the other hand, it's also kind of ramshackle, so we don't really need to worry too much about the fact that there's a little bit coming through in the corner where I didn't get the boards underneath the balcony at the top of the stairs there. So there we go, it's coming together. Just need something in the middle there, because the front edge is a little too open. So grab a couple more of these vertical planks, again from Toys Out of the Prams mod. Drag that down a little bit, because it's too tall and very, very difficult to see what you're doing, even when using place anywhere. And we're going to be positioning it, you know what I mean, I can't say it. Putting it in there, in between the sandbags and the half walls there and the balcony railing. So check it out, make sure it's not clipping through too much. Just a little bit too much there. There we go. It's slightly different from the usual tour here. Just going to have a quick look round, as in a couple of days you'll be getting the full finished tour of the settlement, so don't want to spoil it too much. There we go, the place is really coming together now. Still got that biker feel, got that enclosed marketplace feel as well, which I'm quite happy with. There we go, you can see the junk wall I put in there. And this is the ground floor apartment. Pretty basic, but everything you need. Around the other side here. Let's take a look at the upstairs apartment. And there we go. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit those buttons for me. Do follow me on Twitch and on my social media as well. For now, thanks a lot. I will be speaking to you all very, very soon.